All right, we are back for another episode of NFC Beast, and for once, it's me and Scrub together. I think that's only happened one other time, if I
Another
remember
time.
correctly,
Yeah.
in 4 years of doing the show. So yeah, we're gonna try and do our best and stay on track. We got some interesting topics to discuss tonight, but before we get into that, how are you doing this week, man?
I'm doing all right. We into 2026 now. It's just a
Absolutely,
little weird to say, but you get used to it.
that is true. I'm sure I'm not the only one that messed up that date a couple times when I wrote it out for the first time. So, happy New Year's to you and yours, man. So hopefully you had a great New Year's Eve and there was couple of decent games this past weekend, but we can get into that here in a minute.
Thank you. Same to you and yours.
Thank you.
Well, there was some. Football season almost over, or at least the regular season. So starting to transition a little into some NBA stuff, but
There you go.
there'll be enough time to get into that.
Isn't that the truth? Comes up fast though, that's for sure. Definitely doesn't seem like we should be all the way, in week 18 or coming up on week 18 at this point, but here we are. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the week in review. If you did not catch last episode, just so everybody's aware, we're not going to review the Christmas games. The guys did that in the last episode, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the Sunday games, specifically the Giants versus the Raiders first to open up the episode, and then we'll move on to the Eagles game, and then we'll get into some other topics. But I figure I'll let you kick this one off and kind of lead off the conversation with this game.
So the Giants decide for the first time in months to play a complete game again. They actually did good things on offense. They got some defensive turnovers. They actually got a kickoff return for a touchdown. And I'm not surprised the Giants won this game. I know there's fans that are upset about them winning because it meant no number one overall pick. I mean, the Giants can still get it. Listen, my biggest issue with the Giants was they weren't playing like a team that wanted to win games. They did a lot more. They were finding ways to lose every week for 9 straight weeks. So it was just, hey, if they don't want to win, why would I care if they want to win? They actually came out, had a good game plan, executed. And so it is what it is. The Raiders, well, organizationally, they definitely are trying to get that number one overall pick. You saw the players that went on the IR before the game. Max Crosby's upset. We're going to see what happens with that. And as far as the offseason, that's not for our show specifically, but that is something to keep an eye on if you're an NFL fan. And listen, the Giants got to win. Happy for the players. Are they going to get another win to close out the season, or are they going to go back to their losing ways? That's the question I got right now at this point.
That's fair for sure. I mean, obviously this game showed some promise. Scoring 34 points this late in the season is never a bad thing. It obviously shows that you're on a little bit of a roll. Granted, you were playing the 2-14 Raiders, but Geno Smith definitely threw you guys a couple give-me's up there. But overall, I mean, a really pretty solid game, for the offense. So I think that's got to be a little bit encouraging going into next season, especially knowing that, or at least thinking that Jackson Dart is the most likely going to be the guy moving forward. But we'll get to that a little bit more in here just a second. Any takeaways from this game that going forward, like in terms of like 2026, that make you feel like there are the building blocks that could make this a good team, a playoff team next season?
Well, they still need to figure out who they're going to have a head coach, but they got some players. They think they have the quarterback they need. I say he at least has done enough to get a second season to commit to. I'm not going to say he's a franchise guy yet. There's still some things I want to see, particularly if he can throw in the Meadowlands. I'll get a little more into that in the game preview, but if you get Neighbors and Scatterboo back healthy, you got some running backs. I still think they need one more guy. because while I do like Scatterbo, he's high risk in how he plays. Not to mention, I don't think he's exactly like you can survive with him as your running back number one, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. Me personally. Neighbors, hopefully he comes back and you got yourself your number one receiver, but you still going to need at least one more guy, regardless of what happens if they hold on to Wanda Robinson or not. Defensively, they got the defensive line right now. You got Dexter Lawrence, you got Burns, you got Carter starting to finally come on, which is good after all the headaches with the discipline stuff, but he's picked it up in the last 4 weeks, and hopefully you get Thibodeau back. We'll see what happens with that if they choose to trade him during the offseason or not, but it's not that they don't have pieces, it's just they need a coach to bring it together, and they still need to fix some spots like the secondary needs work, and they need to figure out what to do with linebacker because if nothing else, Micah McFadden's a free agent. Whether he comes back or not, he's coming off an injury. You're still going to need another guy. But it's not barren. It's not hopeless like it's felt in past years. Let me put it like that.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. Not necessarily that, it's going to turn around overnight, but they have some pieces to build around in the future. Like you said, Scatterbo and Dart and Neighbors. Those are some pretty promising promising young building blocks to have on the team for multiple years to come on rookie contracts. So, you can kind of go and invest some of that free agent money at other positions, perhaps, offensive line or something like that this offseason and solidify a couple other roles. And maybe we see a pretty quick turnaround. It wouldn't be the most unheard of thing in the world, depending on who your coach is, heading into 2026. Which I'm sure that's one of the big questions this offseason we'll get to when we do our offseason preview in a couple episodes. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Eagles game. This game was honestly downright awful to watch at times. Man, the second half was probably the ugliest half of football I've seen from this Eagles offense in maybe my entire 20 plus years of being a fan. It was unbelievable that for 2 quarters, we basically had 17 offensive yards. And it just seemed like after halftime, the Bills just had our number. We couldn't move the ball. And if it weren't for an errant pass there on a 2-point conversion, quite frankly, we lose this game, and we should have lost this game. If Buffalo had been able to do anything in the first half, they easily would have won this game. So really discouraging game overall. I mean, I know Buffalo's a good team, but I feel like they've underperformed this season as well. And for us to play down to our competition in a situation like this, it was really not what I wanted to see right before the playoffs, especially when we had a chance to really kind of make a statement in this game, I felt. But I know rain was a factor, and obviously that's always going to definitely cause some drop passes and limit big plays. But, it didn't stop Josh Allen from throwing over 250 yards while Jalen Hurts barely cracked 110 yards. So any thoughts on this game before we move on?
Yeah, I thought defensively y'all did a good job overall because like you said, the offense laid an egg, and if it wasn't for your defense holding up as long as they did, and yeah, Josh Allen makes a throw, we're talking a different story, but it wasn't all for naught, at least I would say, because if the defense doesn't hold up the way they did for not just the first half, even the second half, because they had opportunities even in the second half, and Buffalo just laid an egg. I don't know. They got problems themselves, and it's continued to show. Josh Allen, he'll have great moments, and then he'll have a lot of head scratchers. And luckily for y'all, he had a head scratcher in the biggest moment So
Yeah, that last pass. I mean, as soon as it left his hand, I was like, man, we just won that game. I don't know how or why, but we just won. It was just unbelievable that he missed the receiver that was wide open in the back of the end zone by like 3 or 4 yards. So it was just one of those moments where you feel like Josh Allen of all quarterbacks is going to step up and beat you in that moment. So I will say that you're right. The defense played outstanding. I have zero complaints about the way they played in this game. Really, for 3.5 quarters, they shut down Buffalo and stopped them from doing anything whatsoever. Did not allow any points until there was 5 minutes left on the clock in the fourth quarter. And then ultimately, here we go. And they scored 2 touchdowns late in the game, but they, again, stood up and managed to stop them when it mattered the most, I suppose. So we come out with the victory, which I'll take it. This late in the season, you can never turn them down, but definitely would have liked to see a more inspiring performance in that game, without a doubt. But the next big topic that we were going to talk about for this week, given the impact of these games on the draft order, it seemed like a good time to update that draft order and kind of take a quick look at where all the NFC East teams lie, and where we ultimately see them probably landing in terms of the picks. But I've got it pulled up right here. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen. Give me just a moment there. Should have probably done that when I was preparing for this. But here is the current draft order as according to Bleacher Report. Let me get that pulled up real quick. And I guess this is from their actual mock draft predictions. But here's the top 6 or top 5 at least. Maybe, if the ads would stop opening up. We got, obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders at number 1, which we just figured out this past weekend. The New York Giants at number 2. Down there at number 7, we've got Washington. And then we've also got Dallas at number 14. And currently, Philadelphia sits at 25th overall. Where do you see those teams ultimately lying when it comes to draft day? Do you see any big shifts coming for any of these teams?
I think Dallas is going to stay in that mid-teen area. Washington probably be. I don't see any big shift, honestly. The Giants could fall as low as 7, but that's it. I think Washington will probably be around like 7 to 9. The Eagles, I expect the wild card exit. So because I don't love how the Eagles are playing. I mean, it can. I don't know where the tiebreaker is going to end up and who's going on the board, but you'll probably be somewhere in that 19 to 24 range.
Where do you see the Giants landing?
With the Giants' luck, they'll probably land at number 3.
I could see it. I could see it for sure. It would not surprise me at all. Obviously, not really much to unpack here right now at the moment, but we can kind of we're going to quickly do you even want to talk about draft needs yet, or do you want to wait?
Nah, we can wait for the draft needs.
Okay. So in that case, the next big topic, specifically with your Giants, would be the fact that the rumor now coming out from Adam Schefter is that Joe Schoen will not only be expected to stay with New York, but could be there for a little while. Room for interpretation there on what a little while may be. Maybe he just means the upcoming season. But the way I read into it is that it could potentially be for much longer than this season. But when you hear those quotes from Adam Schefter, what are your thoughts immediately?
Despair, defeat, disappointment. Because I'm just like it's not hasn't been all bad from Joe Shane, but it hasn't been good enough. And like you've had swings and misses on the draft and free agency. The coach you came in with got fired, and the record is what it is. You had 9 wins the first year, and then after that, 12 wins with the game on Sunday pending. Through 3 years after that, that's not good. That's 12 wins combined through the course of 3 seasons. That's grounds for change things up. But the Giants, all they continue to do is make me scratch my head on some of these things. So
That's a fair point.
I'm just disappointed. I not like I don't think he's done a good enough job to get a fifth year. But if he's going to be here beyond just a fifth, man, if we have another losing season, he's still here. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd be curious. I mean, like, I haven't looked that deep into it yet because we're just not quite to that point. But I'd be curious if there's any coaching candidates out there that might come in and be like, you want me to work with him? No, thanks. I'll go take this other job. And eventually they make the decision to move on, similar to like Jacksonville did last year with Liam Cohen, which obviously has worked out really well for them. So, maybe for the right coach, things change, but time will tell, I suppose, when it comes to that. But does it surprise you at all, given your feelings on Joe Schoen, that there are now rumors kind of floating out there that New York could still potentially look at a quarterback, given the way Jackson Dart has played?
I don't know where these rumors came from. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, there's things Dart still has to work on, but if you've watched him play, and then you see who's coming out this year, it's like none of these guys show anything significantly better coming out than Jackson Dart did. So, I mean, maybe if they got a new GM and in the mix, I would say, all right, maybe they take a look, just because that's not their guy. But even then, it's like it doesn't make a lot of sense. The guys coming out this year there's no special prospects at quarterback coming out. So the rumors, to me, that I take them with a grain of salt.
That's fair. And I wonder if this is more just speculation based on the draft picks that they were, looking at potentially receiving and people just connecting dots. Because I don't understand how you could look at what Jackson Dart's done so far and be like, you know what, we need to replace him. Has he made some mistakes? Absolutely. He's a rookie quarterback. Every rookie quarterback is going to make some mistakes. But has he also had some moments where it looks like he really gets it and has the potential to be a guy? Yeah, absolutely. So I think, like, to your credit, I think you kind of have to give that guy at least another season and then, maybe make a decision from there if we're going to move on or, keep moving on with him, depending on how he plays. So I could definitely understand from the Giants' perspective not wanting to necessarily get saddled in a position where you're settling for a quarterback based on what's out there, given what you just went through with Daniel Jones. But at the same time, I would say Jackson Dart's performance this season versus what Daniel Jones has done in the past is there's a large gap. You got to at least kind of play this out a little bit longer before you start assuming that he could go that arc. In my personal opinion.
Exactly.
But it definitely will be interesting to see who they hire as the coach and see if that changes the philosophy at all and how he fits in the new scheme or, how much he impacts the decision-making of the next coach as well. Do they go out and get a guy that specifically caters to his skill set? That's probably the smart thing to do. Is that what they will do? Who knows? Any other thoughts on that situation or anything else related to the draft or the Giants that you want to get to before we move on?
No, because we don't need to stick around and talk about this until all our teams are out. And the Giants are still the Giants, so we'll focus on the winners. Let's talk some playoffs real quick.
Sounds good. So let's talk about the playoff seeding. As of right now, which let me pull that up because I did not have that pulled up. All right. As of right now, currently, we've got the Denver Broncos 1 in the AFC. The Patriots are 2. The Jaguars are 3. Texans 5. Chargers 6. Bills 7. And the Steelers and Ravens are still potentially in the hunt for that 4 seed due to the AFC North not yet being decided. Very similar in the NFC, actually. Seahawks, number 1, Bears 2, Eagles 3. At number 4, you've got the potential of the Panthers or the Buccaneers, depending on how things fall this upcoming weekend. The 49ers are currently 5th. The Rams are 6th, and the Packers are 7th. Really, it looks like the only 2 teams that are on the bubble are the Ravens and the Buccaneers, and the ones that could potentially be knocked out are the Steelers and the Panthers. Any thoughts? Do you see any upsets coming? Any surprises from this upcoming weekend of football?
The reports are that Lamar Jackson's going to play in this game on Sunday, so I don't know how healthy he's going to be, but the biggest thing for the Ravens, they're going to win. They're going to have to run the ball. If they actually run the ball, Steelers, they're just not can they? I don't think they'll do anything if they make the playoffs. Although I don't love the Ravens' chances either, because if either of them have to take on the Texans, I think both of them are going home. If some of that flips and I think the Ravens could get at the Bills and the Chargers. I don't think any of the teams in the wild card the Steelers can beat. Maybe the Chargers because of who they're short on the offensive line, but even then, Steelers' offense isn't great. So the biggest thing for the AFC is how is everyone going to be positioned when it's all said and done. Jags could get number 1 seed, but that requires the Broncos and Patriots losing. I think it's going to be the Patriots with the 1 seed. Something tells me the Chargers are going to end up winning that last game in Denver. As for the NFC, I think what's going to end up happening is the Bucs are going to win on Saturday, and then that game on Sunday between the Falcons and the Saints are going to determine who wins the division. Which is kind of the craziest thing. It's look, the Bucs can still miss out on the playoffs, even if they win, if the Falcons end up winning.
Yeah, in fact, you put it perfectly right here. They have them at a 40% win probability, even if they win. And then even if the Panthers lose, they're still rated as a 60% probability to make the playoffs. So kind of interesting how that all works. But that's what happens. The Buccaneers dropped the game last week, I believe it was, and it really kind of sank their playoff hopes, but we'll see what happens here. Realistically, the Panthers should be excited because they're the only team left in the hunt that have any possibility of making the playoffs if they lose this weekend. So they're in a somewhat decent position. Although, like you were saying about the AFC, I don't know that the Panthers are going to go in and beat any of these teams at the bottom half of the NFC, the Rams, the Packers, 49ers. I don't think any of those games are going to be easy for the Panthers or the Buccaneers for that stretch, So honestly, sorry, go ahead.
No, my fault. But I think the Panthers have a better chance to make an upset in the playoffs than the Bucks. The Bucks. If you've seen that secondary, dear goodness, they got no pass defense. I could go out there and play them because it can't be worse at this point.
There you go. Hit the like button if you want to see Scrub on the Buccaneers, team. Man, yeah, I don't know. Either, I guess with the Steelers and the Ravens, you have to feel if you have Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers, you have a chance to beat anyone in the playoffs. But, and I guess maybe the Buccaneers feel the same about Baker Mayfield, but you can't feel good about your chances in the playoffs for any of those teams right now, even if you make it. I mean, like you said, these teams that are above them are tough. It's crazy to say, but there's literally one team currently slotted in the playoffs, the Packers, which are much better than their record, by the way, that have less than 11 wins. So that's kind of nuts, actually. I don't remember that happening in recent.
Yeah, memory. But the Packers, losing Michael Parsons hurt them, and
it did.
I don't know how that Trayvon Diggs they brought Trayvon Diggs in. Like my guy HD said a few days ago, if they have him play a rover position like how Jalen Ramsey does, just have him freelance, then that would be the best for him and it'd help out the Packers defense. But if he got to play in structure, you might as well just pack it up. There you go get bounced out in the first round.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of the subjects that I had not had on our list or really thought about, discussing. But, earlier this week it came out that Trayvon Diggs was released by the Cowboys, which was kind of a surprise. I mean, obviously, he had not played this past weekend, I believe, and wanted to stay wherever they were at because of a concussion, I believe it was.
He was wanting to stay in D.C. He requested twice. The team denied it twice. The reports were he stayed for a concert, and that there's been tension with him and Jerry Jones since the Michael Parsons trade. So,
man,
I'm not surprised. Like once getting that backdrop of information, I'm not surprised this happened. I just don't know if this is a move that's going to actually benefit the Packers or not. I think maybe with the offseason, things might be different. But stranger things have happened. Maybe he comes in, it gives them a boost to their defense, and they do something in the playoffs. We'll have to see.
It'll definitely be interesting. I mean, I was shocked when I saw the news that he was released. I just, for some odd reason, never had thought the Cowboys would cut him. I thought if he was going to leave, it would be via trade, this offseason. Maybe even if it was just a swap of late round picks, almost a cut at that point. But I just didn't see it happening mid-season. But I guess, hey, you're out of the playoffs. You're not playing for anything this season. If he's that much of a distraction, yeah, it makes sense. Cut him. Get rid of him. You don't have to deal with him anymore. But I didn't catch how much they will be on the hook for.
He got waived, and the Packers claim. I think the Packers ended up claiming him for waivers. So,
gotcha. Okay.
But I was looking on at least according to Spot Track, it doesn't have any more guaranteed money after this season. So if the Packers need to just if it's like, hey, this ain't working out, they could just release him and they ain't got to worry about the money coming on their books.
So pretty solid move for the Packers then. I mean, low risk, high reward potentially. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Why would they would take that move if you don't have any more guaranteed money to worry about moving forward? Might as well at that point. I mean, for a team like the Packers that are looking for a spark in the playoffs, like you mentioned, it makes a lot of sense why you go out and get a guy like Trayvon Diggs who can create big plays, even if sometimes they're for the offense. So
he's going to make a big play, whether it's for the offense or for the defense.
Exactly, one way or another, it's going to the house. So yeah. So one thing I wanted to discuss is news that's coming out of Philadelphia that despite the fact that they have the potential to, if everything fell according to plan, they had the potential to get the number 2 seed. The Nick Sirianni has come out and said several starters will end up sitting out this game. I want to get your thoughts on this one first. What are your thoughts on a team basically going out there and saying, we're going to pack it in, even though we have a chance to play for some important playoff seeding?
Me personally, I'm of the belief play your players. Now, if there's like a health concern, I get it. Rest of you guys, it's hard because you don't have a lot of reserves as it is. 53-man roster, only 45 get to dress. So I think you get 2 extra because of the practice squad exceptions, but that's still not a lot of flexibility. But like if you got guys that nurse some injuries, then I get it. But I'm like, if guys are healthy, let's go. Because you rest too much and then you get off to a slow start. And the Eagles can't afford any slow starts. We already know how bad things get in the second half. So if they start slow in the first half, you might as well just wave the white flag. Say, you know what, we're going home. We don't need to play second half. Y'all got it. But just from a fundamental standpoint, I'm of the belief if you guys are healthy, play them. If you're not, they're not. Let them rest. It is what it is.
Absolutely. I'm of the same thought process. I guess I can kind of understand why you feel comfortable sitting a guy like Jalen Hurts in this situation. You have Tanner McKee behind him. You feel a lot of confidence in him. You get him another start just before the playoffs. But that at the same time, he's not the only starter sitting. And then injury-wise, you're also saying that Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter, Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, and Marcus Epps are all not good enough to go this week. So on top of sitting your starting quarterback and a few other players. So I think it's just a lot for me personally. I think either you're looking past the Commanders or you're understating the value of a win right before the playoffs, which in my opinion, you never want to back into the playoffs. If anything, you want to go in hot. You want to figure out some problems that you've had over the past couple of weeks. Get your offense to score some points, even if it's only you play your starters for a half, kind of like a preseason game. You want to see something good, some sort of progress right before the playoffs, in my opinion. But regardless, I guess saving your quarterback and some of your starters for the playoffs makes some sense. It's just I would like to see some competitive fire here, I think, right before the playoffs, in my personal opinion.
Guys get banged up all the time. It's football. It's going to happen. I don't be coaching scared, because that's usually when you end. Like, if it's not an injury, you just end up. Like you said, y'all have had issues with scoring, so why not make sure, hey, let's try to get something going this first half. We're not playing this game. We're going to play to win, but if we don't, it's not the end of the world. If the game gets away one way or the other, you know what? Hey, we're just going to shut it down at halftime. We're going to get the reserves in. Whatever else happens after that. But I hear all those names. It's like, I don't think all of them ain't banged up to the point that is like, yeah, they should be sitting out this week, because chances are they'll be playing the playoff game the following week. Yeah, it don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I get it. You guys want you want everybody healthy and all that. It makes sense, but at the same time, like you got to have some sort of momentum going into the playoffs. Otherwise, you might as well expect a first round exit. Is the way I look at it. But we'll go ahead and move on to the previews of next week's games or this weekend's games. I apologize. First up is at 11 a.m. the Cowboys at the Giants. I'll let you go ahead and lead this one, but I wanted to throw out the injury report real quick. The Cowboys have already ruled out running back Malik Davis and Javonte Williams, as well as guard TJ Bass, linebacker DeMarvion Overshown, and cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr. They also have ruled running back Phil Mafa questionable, Peyton Turner, and cornerback Josh Butler as well. And then the Giants are missing Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo Johnson, Evan Neal, Rakeem Nunez Roches, and cornerback Cordell Flott, safety Javon Holland, and maybe missing Jalen Hyatt due to illness as well.
I'm not worried about Jalen Hyatt because that's just not that one hadn't worked out too well. Holland, I know, has I think knee and still concussion protocol, so I don't think he was gonna play. And then there's been some illness going on with in the Giants facility that all the players. Listen, healthy, not healthy, I still had the Cowboys winning. Now, I also heard there was some talk of Dak possibly sitting in the second half because Jerry Jones. I heard something about Jerry Jones mentioned it in some nonsense. I don't know. With Jerry, you can never tell. But I like could the Giants finally slay the Dragon as the Dallas Cowboys? Possibly. Do I see it happening? No, because they're still the Giants. They beat the Raiders, but the Raiders were a worse off team than the Giants were. So while the Cowboys got their issues, they still have quite a bit of talent. They still got Dak Prescott, who he's won 14 straight games against the Giants. That's nasty. I can't do that with that. Oh my God.
That's a pretty impressive record for sure. You definitely that's something to write home about. Hey, crazy.
Yeah. I got the Cowboys winning, and if the Giants win, cool. I know fans will be upset, like, man, they won another meaningless game. I don't really care because wherever they end up in the draft, they still got to draft the right player. If they don't, it don't mean anything. So.
That's fair for sure. I will say that the Cowboys, if they decide to, start or bench Dak Prescott, they do have quite a few issues to be concerned about with that offensive line because, like we mentioned, TJ Bass is out. Currently, they don't really have any legitimate guard depth. They've got a pair of tackles and a center on the active roster currently. So we'll see if they make any moves, but I guess they do have a couple guys on the practice squad they could call up, but a little lacking some depth there at guard. So, we might see a situation where there's a true tackle or a center playing guard from this week. And then also, the loss of the guys on defense as well. So we'll see how things go. I could definitely see, it would not surprise me to see the Giants win this one. Let's put it that way, just because it would be true Giants fashion. In my opinion, as well as true Cowboys fashion. But yeah, if I was Jerry Jones, I think I'd be telling people, hey, we need to start Joe Milton. I want to see what he's got this last week of the season. See if maybe he has some trade value, or maybe we solidify the fact that he's the guy that we need to keep on the roster going forward. Behind Dak and continue to develop him as maybe a potential guy to eventually replace Dak down the line or something of the sort. But if you're not playing for anything, you might as well play the young guy, give him some snaps and see what he can do. What do you lose really? But moving on to the last game of the weekend, which would be the 2:25 p.m. or sorry, 4:25 Eastern, 2:25 Mountain Time. Commanders at the Eagles, which, as mentioned before, a lot of these players will be missing this game, including the top two quarterbacks for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota. They will also be without Laramie Tunsil at left tackle and potentially Brandon Coleman. And then, as mentioned before, the Eagles have already ruled out Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter, Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, Marcus Epps, and they've also mentioned that it is highly likely that we will not see much, if any, of Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and potentially A.J. Brown and a couple other guys on offense. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Washington coming into Philadelphia with Josh Johnson starting for quarterback.
There's the issue. Josh Johnson coming in starting at quarterback. I'm like, dang, I'm not a Mariota guy, but he better than Josh Johnson. Clearly better than Josh Johnson. Even with the Eagles sitting all those players out, Washington gonna need a miracle to win this game. So I got the Eagles. So even with all that, I still got the Eagles winning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we take home the victory. Even, like I mentioned before, even if we start Tanner McKee and Will Shipley and all these guys, and get them some opportunities, I still like our chances to be able to win this game. It wasn't too long ago that we had to play Josh Johnson, and it didn't go so well for him. So I hope that carries over into this game as well. Plus, I mean, they don't have their starting left tackle. They're missing a couple other players as well. So I'm hoping that even without Jalen Phillips and Jalen Carter, our pass rush should still be able to get home, prevent this offense from producing too many big plays and embarrassing us in the secondary. And, ultimately we'll get out of this with probably a close win. But I was jokingly telling some friends earlier this week I wouldn't mind if Tanner McKee went out and dropped like 325 yards and 3 touchdowns so we could get like a second-round pick for him this offseason or something. Certainly wouldn't mind that at all. So, there's some things to be won in this game, even if Hurts isn't playing and we don't win the game. So I know we kind of ran through some of these topics a little bit quick, but are there any other thoughts, anything else that you wanted to get to or express before we wrap this one up?
Not really. We got through the things I need to get through. It's just the two of us, so no need to stay here longer than we need to.
No doubt. If I was a good producer, I would have, prepared that song for the outro, just the two of us, and it would have been so fitting. But another time, perhaps. But thanks everybody who joined us and watched this episode. We appreciate you guys supporting this show. It's crazy to think that we're already wrapping up our 4th season doing this. It's been a project. It's been a long time coming, and it's been awesome kind of connecting with you and Coach, Crouch Coach and all the other guys that have made it on the show, Albert and everybody else. So thank you to everybody who's been watching. Make sure to hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go follow all the guys that have been a part of this show this season. Whether that's Cool McCain or Scrub or Albert, as mentioned before, or Wise El Jefe, or really anybody who's been a part of the show. So go follow them on all your favorite social medias, as YouTube as well. Subscribe there and make sure to hit the like button and share the stream and help us continue to build each and every one of our channels as we move forward into 2026. And of course, Happy New Year. I hope your families have nothing but health and happiness this season. So unless you're a Cowboys fan.